Hello everybody, I'm Kat the Vet. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much for joining me. Today we're going to talk about something that is particularly relevant for this time of year, and that is keeping your pet safe over the festive season. Christmas is an amazing time. I absolutely love it. All the yummy food, our houses are beautifully decorated, there's loads of social engagements and all the visitors that come and go. But for our pets, it can be particularly stressful, and also there's lots of things that can make them poorly. And trust me, you do not want to be going to the emergency out of hours vets at any point over the Christmas holidays, nor do you want to be getting up to a kitchen full of vomit or diarrhea on Christmas Day. So I'm just going to run through a few of the really common problems that we as vets see over the festive period, and hopefully mean that you and your pets can avoid getting into trouble. So number one is the Christmas food. Now, of course, Christmas food is absolutely delicious, and one of the reasons why it is so nice is because it is full of fats and calories and sugar, and there's biscuits and there's mince pies and there's chocolate and there's all sorts of stuff. Now, a lot of those have their own individual problems, but I just wanted to generally say, do not, please don't feed your pets anything new or different at this time of year. It can be really tempting to want them to have their full Christmas dinner while we're having ours. And absolutely fine, a little bit of lean turkey, some vegetables, not a problem. But please avoid anything fatty, don't give them any gravy, nothing sugary, nothing that they're not normally used to. Because all that will happen is they will have an upset tummy, and you will be dealing with the consequences of that all over the carpet. Or if it doesn't settle down, you'll end up having to come and see one of us to get it sorted out. So please keep their diet as consistent as possible. That doesn't mean that they can't have treats, that doesn't mean that they can't join in on Christmas dinner, but just keep it simple, because honestly, if you don't, you will regret it. But when it comes to food, there are some specific things that it is absolutely vital to keep out of the way and to make sure they don't get hold of. The number one is chocolate. Now, I'm not good at sharing my chocolate with anybody over the Christmas period, let alone my animals, and I certainly would be very upset if they got into it. But not only because it would mean there was none left for me, but it can be really toxic, especially for dogs. The dark chocolate in particular can be really dangerous. The theobromine, which is the ingredient in the cocoa, is highly toxic to dogs. It can make them very sick, give them horrible vomiting and diarrhea. It can give them racing heart rates, make them pant, make them quiver, and it can even be deadly. So keep all of the chocolates well out of reach. And don't forget that wrapping paper is no barrier to a dog. They can smell exactly what is inside the packaging, and they will have no gumption about ripping into it when you are not there. So if anybody does give you any chocolate gifts, make sure you know about it and don't stick them under the tree until you are absolutely ready to unwrap them yourselves, because you do not want your dogs getting there first. The second one is the turkey. Like I said earlier, turkey meat, the lean is absolutely fine. A few cuts, not a problem. But the bones, when they're cooked, can cause massive issues. Make sure when you're finished with your turkey that the carcass goes in the bin well out of reach. Because if our dogs eat turkey bones, because they are cooked, the bones are really brittle. They'll crunch them all up in their mouths. Then when they eat them, they can very easily get stuck in the stomachs or the intestines and cause massive damage. And often they need surgery to fix them, to either remove them or to deal with the perforations or the stabbing that happens into the guts. And that is particularly, well, it's first of all, surgery like that is very costly, and also it literally can be deadly. So no turkey bones. Keep the turkey carcass well out of reach. Like I say, those noses know. The third thing that causes loads of problems is mince pies and Christmas cake and Christmas pudding. It's the raisins that are the issue here. So raisins and grapes are toxic, particularly to dogs. We actually don't know why, and also we don't know what the toxic dose is. It seems to be really individual. Some animals can eat raisins all their lives and not have any problems. Some will eat a handful and really struggle. But if they get the Christmas pudding, the Christmas cake, or into a big plate of mince pies, they are taking a massive dose of raisins all in one go. And it can be deadly. Again, it causes kidney failure. And if they get into it, your vet's going to need to make them vomit, pump their stomach, stick them on drugs, take loads of blood tests and make damn sure that they're fine. So mince pies, Christmas cake, again, save it for yourselves. Keep it well out of reach, and those nosers know where it is. So make sure that wherever it is safe. The final food thing that I'm going to talk about is kind of a weird one, and a lot of people don't know about it, and that is onions and garlic. Onions and garlic are also really toxic to our pets and can do funny things to their red blood cells and make them really anemic. I mean, you'd be hard pushed, to be honest, to find, I think, a dog who would voluntarily chow down on a raw onion. But don't forget that onion and onion powder and garlic powder are in a lot of the foods around this time of year. The stuffing, the gravy, all that kind of thing. So again, I think the rule with Christmas food is keep it out of sight, keep it out of smells, and keep it safe. At the very best, you will just lose a lot of Christmas dinner. You may well have an animal that has horrendous vomiting and diarrhoea all over the house, which nobody wants to clear up at the best of times, let alone the festive season. And at the worst case, you could find yourself in the vets with a really, really sick pet, potentially a really large bill as well. So the other thing we have in our house a lot of is decorations. The tree, the tinsel, the lights, the baubles. Amazing. But again, they can cause a lot of problems. Sometimes it's merely physical, you know, they get themselves in the tree and all tangled up in the tinsel and whatnot and hurt themselves. Cats especially, we've all seen those videos on YouTube of like cats launching themselves at the tree, which is all fun and games until it comes down on top of them and breaks their leg. So again, just if you're not in the house, keep them away from it and try to discourage them with playing with it. Tinsel can cause its own particular problems with cats. If they chew on it and swallow it, the way that cat's anatomy works and the way that their head is put together, it's actually really easy for it to get stuck up and around the back of their throats and wriggle at the like sort of tickle at their noses at the back. And that can cause like really lots of sneezing, lots of snorting, lots and lots of coughing. And it's not uncommon for us to have to go in there, for vets to have to go in there with an endoscope up around the back of the throat, reach in with a pair of grabbers and pull out the offending bit of tinsel. So if you've got cats, don't let them play with tinsel, please. It might be best to avoid it and go, you know, tinsel's a bit passé, isn't it, anyway? So maybe go for something a little bit classier if you've got cats. And then let's not forget about the baubles on the tree, which to a dog, to all intents and purposes, just like giant shiny tennis balls. Okay, so they're going to be like, oh yay, and try and bite them, and of course then it's going to shatter in their mouths, and then they're going to get cut mouths, and there's going to be blood everywhere, and then you're going to be in the vets. So I think, of course, you're going to let your pets in the living room. That's where they're normally allowed to go, but I definitely wouldn't let them in there at this time of year unsupervised. The other thing we have a lot of, in addition to the decorations, is the foliage. So the tree, holly, mistletoe, lilies and poinsettias. Holly and mistletoe berries can upset tummies a lot. I think you'd be hard pushed to find a dog that would, you know, have a little snack on some mistletoe, but, you know, some of them, Labradors particularly, are quite daft and they'll have a go at most things. So again, up high and out of reach. And lilies, of course, are incredibly toxic to cats. The leaves, the flowers and the pollen. I wouldn't say don't have them, but again, just make sure they're kept well out of reach and that they can't play with them. A really good tip for any time of year, to be fair, if you've got lilies in the house, is to chop out the stems and throw them away. Because it's annoying when we get it on our clothes, but if your cat brushes past them and gets the pollen on their fur, they will clean it off. And that is the most common way for them to be poisoned by lilies, because they've licked the pollen off their fur. I wouldn't say not have them. I've got cats, I have lilies in the house all the time because I absolutely love lilies, but I always cut out the polleny bits. The next thing to mention is something which won't bother all pets, but some can find it really stressful, and that's all the visitors we often have at this time of year. Most animals, dogs and cats, are quite sociable and will enjoy having lots of different people around for a fuss, but some will find it really, really difficult, or any breaks in routine. So if you are having people round and you know you've got a cat or a dog who finds that kind of social interaction a bit challenging, don't force them to be sociable at this time of year. If the cat goes upstairs and hides under the bed, leave them to it. If the dog seems to get a bit nervous, pop them in another room, give them a snack to chew on and let them get on with it by themselves. Visitors can be really stressful for some animals, so just let them choose the amount of interaction they're going to have and don't force them to be sociable just because you are. Of course, as well as our houses being absolutely packed to the rafters with food, there's often an awful lot of booze around as well at this time of year. Again, you won't find me complaining about that, but keep it away from your pets, please. You get some people who think it's fun to give the dog like some beer and stuff, but it is not going to do them any good at all. Again, you're going to have vomiting and diarrhea, you're going to have a pet who's maybe drunk and disinhibited and doing all kinds of crazy things, getting themselves into trouble. It's just ridiculous. There shouldn't really be any way that a dog can get hold of a can of lager or wine. Really, it shouldn't really even need mentioning, but honestly, if you think it might be funny, then please don't do it. Because you'll just get into trouble, and the dog will get into trouble, and the cat, and it's not pleasant for anybody. So ban the booze. Booze is for humans as well. One thing that's maybe a little bit overlooked at this time of year is the dangers that batteries can pose. And certainly every children's toy in the whole world seems to come with some sort of electrical element and needs batteries. And actually it's really easy to lose them in the chaos of the wrapping paper and presents and everything, and they just roll away. But I would really keep a really close eye on them. All batteries to some extent are toxic. The ones that are particularly dangerous are the little button batteries. If they are swallowed, they will burn through flesh incredibly easily and cause massive internal damage, often before you even realise that they're in there. So keep all batteries well out of reach and make sure as soon as you do get them out, they go straight into the toy. I mean, I'm sorry about that. The toys are going to have to go on. But the better the battery be inside the toy than inside the dog. So I guess it's kind of clear that there's a lot of things around at this time of year that can cause our pets some problems. But to be fair, the vast majority of people get through it no issues at all, and they don't have to come and see us, which is nice because, in the nicest possible way, we would like a quiet Christmas as well. But I think that the general rule is it is common sense. Keep stuff out of reach, keep it out of the way, make sure your pets can't get to it, make sure they're supervised around the decorations and around the presents, and you will be fine. But if you do have any problems and you are based in the UK, your vet will be available 24 hours, either if they run their own out of hours out of the practice, or they will have an out of hours provider. And if you give their phone, the normal phone call a ring, you will be given instructions on the answer phone as to how to speak to somebody. You may not even need to see us, you may just need some advice, but there will be vets available around the clock all through Christmas Day and the Christmas period to help you and your pets if you need us. So, all that remains for me to say is have a very happy Christmas. I hope you have had an amazing 2016, and I hope that 2017 is equally as fabulous for you. I will see you next year. Thank you. Bye-bye.